Even though Draymond's a future Hall of Famer, he's clearly not the same player he once was. In fact, he struggled so much to start the 2022 finals that Steve Kerr decided to bench him at one of the most crucial points in the series. If you want to know what Draymond had to say about Coach Kerr's decision, then look no further, as we're going to tell you exactly that in this video. First up, Green felt that the call was disrespectful. Draymond was invited to the December 16th episode of Uninterrupted's Breaking Bones, and boy was it a fun one. While talking to Roz Gold on Woode and Micah Johnson about Game 4 of the finals, he mentioned how he was benched and then offense-defense subbed by Kerr. Dre, being Dre, didn't hold back and straight up said that he felt it was disrespectful as F. Thankfully, Green said he made sure not to let his emotions get the better of him and take the decision personally. He knew that he was struggling all series long and that whatever Coach Kerr did, it was to help the team win a championship. So he understood why Steve benched him on offense as much as possible. This is similar to what he said to reporters following the game in June, as he explained that he wasn't thrilled to be benched with 7 minutes left in a must-win game, but he took it like a champ and said that if the coach decides something, he's gonna roll with it for the sake of the collective. After all, Dre did say that the only thing which mattered to him was winning a ring, and the tactic employed by Kerr helped them do just that. Now, Green gets to call himself a 4-time champ. Though Green mentioned that the Warriors winning the game helped him contain himself big time because if they lost, he said that he wouldn't have handled Kerr's decision too well. Next up, why did Steve Kerr go with this strategy? Previously, Coach Kerr explained his decision in depth, and once you hear it, you'll be even more amazed by his coaching. Steve started by saying that he didn't really think much about it when he took out Green since the unit just couldn't get the job done, and he was looking for a shift. So to get that shift, he took him out for 4 minutes. With about 7 minutes left in the fourth, Kerr highlighted that in the NBA, if you find a group of people who can get well together and help you get as far as possible, you stick with that unit no matter what. As stated by Steve, you can't force yourself to worry about anybody's feelings being hurt or anything like that in such situations, because that'll interfere with what matters most, which is winning. So Kerr said that once he saw the group thriving, he didn't pay attention to the bench. It was a genius move by Coach Kerr as Golden State capped off an 11-3 run during those 4 minutes. When the run ended, Kerr then used Draymond at different points in the closing minutes. That also worked out super well for the Warriors, as Green made some huge defensive plays down the stretch. All in all, it was a game-changing decision that all Warriors fans are super grateful for, because if he didn't think on his feet like that, Golden State would have been facing a 3-1 deficit. Following that, how bad was he on offense during the first 4 games? For the lack of a better word, he was horrible and basically unplayable on the offensive end. He only scored 17 points across the first 4 games, and his efficiency was horrendous, as he shot 23% from the field, 50% from the charity stripe, and bricked each of his 9 three-point attempts. It's no secret that he's no longer elite on offense, but those numbers were just unacceptable. And if he stayed in the game throughout the fourth in Game 4, he would have done way more harm than good, since he was a walking brick until that point in the series. Keeping those stats in mind, it's not surprising that Coach Kerr went ahead and left Kevin Looney in for way longer than he originally planned to. Moving on, is Draymond right to feel disrespected? We understand that Green's one of the greatest players in the Warriors' history, but we definitely feel like his ego's a little inflated. Ever since the 2016 season ended, he's been a shell of himself on offense, as he's lost the ability to score the way he used to. Plus, there are so many instances when he can't even finish layups or floaters. And as we just told you, his stats were horrific to start the series. So he kind of forced Coach Kerr to be in a position where he had no choice but to look elsewhere. Just because an athlete's done big things for an organization in the past doesn't mean they're entitled to preferential treatment all the time. After all, this only holds a team back, no matter who you are. If you can't get it going during such an important game while the others are playing great instead, they must be given more playing time. So for us, it makes no sense for Dre to feel disrespected. If he was playing great on both ends of the floor, then got benched for some reason, we would have agreed with him, but that clearly wasn't the case here. Coming up, how did he fare in the next 2 games? He was way better in the next 2 games and even had his best plus-minus numbers of the series in both of them. In Game 5, he scored 8 points, grabbed 7 boards, and dished out 6 dimes while shooting 50% from the field. Then in Game Game 6, he had a near triple-double as he scored 12 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, and racked up 8 assists. And he even had 2 steals and 2 blocks. He shot 50% from the field once again and even converted on 40% of his threes. Now let's talk about Green's struggles during the finals and how he overcame them. Starting off, Game 3 left Draymond rattled. Boston fans didn't take it easy on the power forward in Game 3 as they unleashed a barrage of swears and slurs at him. Green even went as far as to say that he heard everything you possibly could in the TD Garden that night. Celtics fans booed Green like crazy and even chanted Draymond numerous times. Though while his teammates didn't like that, Green still took this like a champ. So he didn't let the boos and the chants get to him. What really rattled him was how fans on the sidelines were behaving. According to Green, almost every time he'd run down the court, he'd be greeted by swears such as B. Some of the classless Celtic fans even called him the N-word, which is unacceptable. Once it got to this point, he genuinely felt like his character was being assassinated, which messed him up mentally. What made matters worse was the fact that he even thought he felt an insane amount of rage toward those racist fans. He just couldn't do anything about it because then the refs would have probably ejected or suspended him. We know that Celtics fans thought Green was making too many dirty plays in Game 2 of the series, but using that as an excuse for racism's never tolerable. Dre was understandably out of his element and arguably had the worst game of his career, so that meant he was also facing the wrath of disappointed Warriors fans. Next up, how was he feeling heading into Game 4? As you might have guessed, not too good. He was fresh off a terrible performance where he fouled out with just 2 points, 4 boards, and 3 assists. Plus, he was treated like absolute garbage by the Celtics crowd. According to him, he still wasn't feeling himself in Game 4, but he knew he had to go out there, stabilize himself, and be better than before. But how exactly was he able to bounce back from such a low spot? Well, we can thank none other than Steph the Chef Curry. Following up, how exactly did Curry help Draymond through this rough patch? He did what he does best, and that's leading by example. He went out there in Game 4 with a purpose to keep the Warriors afloat and protect Draymond from the hostile Boston fans. The thing is, as long as the Warriors were in the front seat, the Celtics fans wouldn't say anything. But the second they were up, like in Game 3, they clowned on Draymond as much as possible. So as Green said, Curry literally carried him that game because he always has his back the way Draymond has Steph's back. What's more, Draymond also told Micah and Roz that Curry's performance was to ensure he didn't get murdered by both Boston's and Warriors fans. The power forward saw how much heart Curry was playing with and genuinely appreciated how much he was carrying the whole squad. That encouraged him to rally himself and be better. Sure, he wasn't great on offense in Game 4, but Green was still huge on defense toward the end. Plus, he got tons of boards, assists, and steals. Finally, what did Steph have to say about his legendary Game 4 performance? When Curry appeared on JJ Redick's podcast in November 2022, JJ asked him why he showed so much emotion that game when he's usually more reserved. Steph highlighted that he approached the game with an aggressive mindset from the very beginning because he knew what was at stake. He knew how long and challenging the journey had been up till that point. He knew that if they lost the series, it was practically over. And he knew that if they lost, Draymond would never hear the end of it. One play that stood out in particular came in the first quarter when he drilled his second 3 in a row. He looked like a cold-blooded killer out there as he rushed toward the Celtics bench and their fans before yelling at them so that the crowd could focus their attention on him instead of Draymond. That right there is a true leader, but we never expected anything less from a man like Steph. That's a wrap for this video. Do you guys think Kerr's decision was disrespectful, or was it the perfect choice to make at the moment? Let us know in the comments below. As always, remember to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.